Hey guys! So today I'm trying out and reviewing the also tried and hyped and loved Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette. We will see if I think it's worth it. I'm going to swatch all of the colors in this palette. I'm going to show you how I did this makeup look with my thoughts during application for the very first time, and at the end I will let you know the positives, the negatives, everything about this palette that you would maybe like to know. So if you would like to see that, just keep on watching, but first don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. So this is what the palette looks like, and I'm going to swatch all of the colors from left to right, starting with the first row. So first off, we have the shade in Light. Next up, we have Beam. Then we have Silk Cream. Next, we have MFEO. The fifth shade is called Fate. Next up is Sissy. And last one on the top row is Little Lady. Now moving on to the second row. First we have Creamsicle. Next up we have Butter. Damn you, Buddha. Feeling the attention. We have Pooter. Pukey. I really hate this shade name. And we have Hunt. Firework. And Queen. Struggles of sensitive skin. Moving on to the third row on my really red arm, starting with Obsessed. Next up we have SBN, Hillster, then we have Roxanne, Jax, then we have Buns, and Cranapple. Staining. On the fourth row we're starting to see a little bit more of the bold colors, starting with Royalty. Then we have Twerk. Next up is Hustle. After that we have Meeks. 24/7. Chip and Mocha. And now to the last row where we have Pool Party, Jada, Diva, Enchanted, Central Park, Soda Pop, and last but not least, Abyss or Abyss. So here you have all 35 shades in the palette. It goes from light to dark, it has mattes and shimmers, and now let's jump into trying them out on the actual lid. So with a tapered blending brush from Sigma, I'm going to pick up this shade called Silk Cream, and I'm going to apply it in my crease and blend it upwards. Wanna be in my video?
Yeah. Hi, video.
Now with the same brush I'm going into the color Pooter, and I'm going to apply it at the same place in my crease but lower down. Now I'm picking up this shade called Buns with a Looks Defined crease brush from Zoeva, and I'm going to apply that mainly on my outer corners and blending it out a little bit in the crease. So I went quite a lot heavier on my brows today than I usually do, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I really love a thick brow on other people, but on me, I just feel like I look super mean. I feel like a villain in a Disney movie or something. So far I have no complaints on the shadows because they blend out beautifully and are really pigmented. I'm picking up this shade called Jax with a Real Techniques shading brush. And I'm thinking of doing kind of like a halo eye, so I'm going to apply this shadow on the inner part of the eye and the outer part of the eye. I'm leaving the middle blank from shadow. So of course my dumbass didn't click record, so I didn't record 2 parts of the makeup, but I just took this brush that I used for the cranberry shade and connected it in the middle. So I just blended without, like with the remaining product here in my crease. And now I'm in the process of blending, so I'm just applying this MFEO shadow with the blending brush I used in the beginning. And I'm just applying that to the edges to blend everything together and to smoke it out a little bit. As you can tell right now, I have a little bit of fallout down here. Some of the shadows are a little bit powdery. I don't mind as long as the shadows perform great on the eyelids, and they definitely do. So I will just try to sweep this off with a powder brush later, but for now it can just sit on my face. That sounded so dirty. For now I'm gonna leave it until I finish up the eyes, but later I'm going to go in with a fluffy powder brush and just brush it off. Never mind, I can't look at the fallout, so I have to grab my powder brush. As you saw, that was super easy to just flick off, so I don't see it as a big issue. So now when I can focus again, let's go to the fun stuff! I want to use this palette as I usually would, and I actually always apply shimmery shadows or metallic shadows with my fingers, just because I feel like I get more color impact, they get more metallic or shimmery that way, so that's just how I prefer applying those types of shadows. So that's what I'm gonna do now too. So with my ring finger I'm going into this shade called Sissy, and it looks beautiful, so I hope it turns up this way on the lid. And with my finger I'm just going to apply that on the bare part that's left on my eyelid. Okay, I need to be careful with this one, because this shit has some impact. I don't know how much the camera picks it up, but it's beautiful. It's a pink shade with gold flecks in it. But as you can see now, I went a little ham and went outside my lines, so let's go back to the cranberry shade and fix this up. So now I'm just going back in with the cranberry shade called Jax and this Real Techniques brush, and I'm going to pack that cranberry shade on again on the outer and inner corner and make the shimmery part a little bit smaller again. I sense trouble! I think my boyfriend's gonna have a problem with me because I'm in love with this eyeshadow. But as you can see, now we have a little bit of fallout again on our cheeks, so I'm going back to the powder brush and just flicking it off. So with the eye shading brush from Sigma, I'm picking up the shade Cran Apple, and I'm applying that to the inner and outer part of the lower lash line, leaving a little dot bare as I did on the upper lid. I'm really disappointed because I just noticed I had foundation crust between my lips and nobody told me. I thought we were homies. Now I'm dipping into the shadow Faint with a pencil brush from Zoeva, and I'm actually gonna spray it with a little bit of setting spray. And I'm just applying that in the middle on my lower lash line where it's bare. And then I'm going back to the shade Cran Apple and just reapplying a little bit on the lower lash line on the outer and inner corner. As a last step for the eyeshadow, I'm going to highlight my inner corner, and I'm just going to apply the shadow and light with a pencil brush from Zoeva. Now I'm going to finish up the makeup off camera with some mascara, black hole liner and some lips, and I'll be right back. So this is how the look turned out, and I feel like it's a really appropriate look for date occasion, or if you just want to walk the dog or throw out the trash or go grocery shopping, whenever. This is how the shadows look on my eyes and the look I came up with. So now let's talk about what I think about the whole palette. All in all, I think it's a really beautiful palette. I feel like it's super versatile. You get 35 shades, as you always do with the Morphe 35 palettes, and it's a big variety of colors. I feel like you can just burst this palette out when you want to be creative, and because of that I think this palette is ideal for traveling because you have everything with you. If you want to do colorful colorful looks, if you want to do daytime looks, nighttime looks, whatever you want, I think you can achieve it with this palette. And all the shadows that I used were super pigmented, super blendable. They just went on nicely without patches. They were creamy. Everything that you would want from your eyeshadows, so I have no complaints about the actual shadow quality. The only thing is they are quite powdery in the pan, so you will get some dust flying or some fallout on your face. So if you hate that, you maybe don't want to buy this palette, but I don't feel like it's a big issue because I could easily flick it off with a powder brush and the mess was gone. So a change from the actual launch that I think is positive is that now you can see all the shadow names on the back of the palette. It's printed on here. Before you saw all of this but on a piece of paper that you had to bring with you if you wanted to know the shadows' names. I do still miss the names by the actual shadows, but now it's at least more easily accessible. But it's just a tiny detail that would make a big difference for the people who care to just have it printed by the actual shadow. The packaging itself I think is really pretty. I love the silver on the white. It looks super classy. One thing I do really miss is a mirror inside this palette. As you can see, it is quite big, and I always use the mirror inside an eyeshadow palette when I do my makeup, especially if you have bad sight and usually wear glasses like I do. Then it's so much easier if you have a mirror inside the palette, so you can get really close and hold the palette and like have all the shadows near and still like hold it and do your makeup in front of that mirror. It's such a small thing that makes such a big difference. At least for me. If you look at the actual shades, as I said before, you see a great variety. It goes from light to dark, there are shimmers, there are mattes, there are neutrals, there are colors. I think it's a great palette that gets your creative juices flowing. Me, for example, felt very creative now when I was using this, and I think it's really important when I have a palette in front of me. I feel like I can do daytime looks, daytime looks, nighttime looks. I can be colorful and bold, but I can like bring it back a little bit and have the neutrals as a safe zone. The only thing I would like and do miss in this palette that I know a few people have mentioned in their reviews is a matte highlighting shade. There are two highlighter shades in here, but they are both shimmery, and one is a little bit cooler and one is a little bit warmer, which is nice. But me, for example, rarely highlight, that word is so hard, rarely highlight my eyebrows. Why would I highlight my eyebrows? Me, for example, rarely highlight my brow bone with shimmer. I prefer having it just matte. So as you saw, now I didn't use any shadow up there because I just used my base as a highlight. So yeah, the only shade that will make this palette perfect would be that type of a creamy bone highlighting color that's matte. And if you don't mind a little bit of fallout on your face, I think you would love this palette. I really liked using it and felt creative and see a lot of options with it. So I think definitely it would be one of my favorite palettes from now on. The only thing is I wish it had a mirror. Maybe I will buy like a little mirror and glue it on there because I think the palette is worth it. I hope you liked this video, and if you have any opinions about this palette, please leave it down below. I would love to know. Like, do you have the palette? Do you love it? Hate it? Do you don't want to buy the palette, and why? I think it's really interesting hearing your opinions about products and stuff. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, night or morning, or whenever you're watching this, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye. To the shadows? What I think about the shadows when I... But you can of course wear... I'm seriously like in love with my eyeshadow. Bye!